Rockdale County Courthouse. The monument used to stand, but it no longer stands, and this is due to community efforts of saying that we have a voice and we're going to use our voice. And through our efforts of using our voice and making it known that we wanted the statue down, it is now not here today. So now I'm going to present SUNY out of Washington to give you a little bit more background about the statue and just tell his story about it.
It was erected by the Confederacy in 1913 to commemorate the soldiers that fought in the Civil War at the time. And I want to put emphasis on was because it's obviously no longer stands, as we made history on July 1st, 2020 to take it down. This is not saying that history can no longer be made. It's just the first step to continue to make history in our community.
I want to first applaud these young people for taking the initiative to physically involve themselves in this quest to have the statue removed. But there are others involved, like Attorney Washington and Cheryl Garcia, who wrote letters and visited with the City Council and the Board of Commissioners, and others perhaps were also involved. But let me just say this, though the physical statue is no longer here, there's still another statue that we have to address, and that statue is in the mind. And so when we have people who live here in Rockdale County, here in the city of Conyers, for example, where we have 65% of the population is African American, and yet 93% of the jobs are for white people. That's unfair. Even if it were the other way around, it would be unfair. And those are some of the changes that we must make in Rockdale County.
Last night I watched a documentary, and on the documentary it said, if you don't take anything else with you, I want you to take these two things. The people who control history control the present. The people who control the present control the past. Our entire lives, our history was rewritten, erased. They taught us in school that the Confederacy was fighting for state rights. But what state right was that? That was the right to own people, the right to have slavery, the right to the King Cotton. You know, we always heard about King Cotton, and I don't think we really understood what that meant in school, but this is what it meant. It meant that slaves were so important that they were willing to fight for slaves. It was that they were making so much money off of slaves that slaves were worth more than railroads and the banks and the factories combined. A lot of people say that those ancestors or their ancestors that were fighting and that were glorified were doing great things. You can be more than one person. A person is more than one thing. This country is more than one thing. We not only have a great country where you have rights and liberties, but those liberties are for who? Those rights are for who? And until we can educate ourselves and have conversations about the ugly truth of America, we won't get anywhere. So I encourage each and everybody who's watching this video and who's out here today to educate yourselves. When these monuments were put up, they were put up 40 to 50 years after the Civil War. There was two different times that these were put up. The early 1900s, where black men and women were being lynched, and another time when you were having bombings during the Civil Rights Movement. They were symbols to tell you that we were going back. But we are not going back because we are smart. We have the strength of our ancestors. This statue coming down is a symbol. It tells us that maybe America is ready to face that ugly truth. Maybe they're ready to really educate themselves. Maybe they're ready to face the lie that they have been telling themselves for years, for centuries. This symbol, though, that we took down isn't going to end mass incarceration. It's not going to stop the rate of black women dying during childbirth 3.3 times more than white women. It's not going to stop our educational systems messing with women and children who are black and brown, who get more sentences than a white child. It's not going to stop that. So that means that there's more work to do. We just can't take down these symbols and say, that's it, it's over. No, we have to look at the laws that are being put in place. We have to look at the politicians that are being placed. We have to hold our politicians accountable. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I just want to take this time to celebrate what we accomplished as a community, but know that we have so much more to do. so much more to grow, but I know that we can do it together. Thank you.
From saying anything while they were giving their presentation, because this is really their movement, the decision to hold this rally today, and I, as an older person, didn't want to take anything from it. But there are a couple of things that I do want to point out. Number one, it may be a little bit too early to celebrate. We have been advocating that the statue, the monument, be removed. That's only the first part. The second part is, well, what happens to it? Where does it go? Who gets it? And who pays for it? That was never addressed in the removing of the statute, so we have to remain vigilant and on top of that. The second piece, I agree wholeheartedly with the racial implication of the statute. But I would encourage all of you, if you've not had a chance yet, there is an article that I penned on Common Ground entitled "The Confederate Monument Hidden in Plain View." And what that article addresses, it focuses on the legal significance of having a Confederate monument in front of a courthouse. It is a contradiction, depending on your view of history. There are some who say the South did not succeed because they were never part of the Union. We were a republic, a gathering of independent states. As such, we never succeeded. In which case, it was a group of states at war with the United States. The other way of viewing it is, it was a rebellion of states within the United States. Either way, aside from the racial and slavery implications, you're talking about celebrating a group of states that were at war with the United States. And so there's that dynamic, there is that narrative, which should be part of it as well. But again, this is not about me. I did have the honor and pleasure of addressing the council and the board of commissioners, but I applaud these young people for saying the time is now.